I'm a board member on the National Alliance Against Racist and Political Repressions Board, and I'm also a member of the PACAT Coalition, which is the People's Action Coalition Against Trump. My name is spelled Jaeyates, and we are here for a press conference in support of the 3 activists who non-violently disrupted a church service in St. Paul to protest one of its pastors, David Easterwood, who is an ICE commander. Monique Cullors-Doty, Nekima Levy-Armstrong, and Chantel Allen are respected, beloved activists who fight against police brutality and struggles for liberation in our communities. The idea that someone can facilitate the brutalization of immigrants and citizens, allow his officers to sexually assault women, gas families driving in their own neighborhood, kidnap children and parents in front of schools, shoot and kill our neighbors, and then preach sermons about God and morality is patently ridiculous. It's vile and it's hypocritical. Nothing in the Bible justifies any of this administration's actions. I would also remind us all that anti-segregationists who organized sit-ins at lunch counters also broke the law, as did those who freed black people from the plantations in the South. What is legal is not always right, and it is up to us to know the difference.
That's right.
This administration wants everyone else to follow the law while they consider themselves above it. They have time to launch investigations into incidents like this where absolutely no one was harmed, but not to investigate Jonathan Ross for the murder of our neighbor, Renee Good. They'll defend their president, a man convicted on 34 counts of fraud, but won't defend the constitutional right to due process. They can prosecute doctors and families for providing care and support for LGBTQ youth, but continue to protect actual pedophiles, rapists, and human traffickers by refusing to release the Epstein files. As Jesus said in Matthew 7:4, how can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there is a plank in your own, you hypocrite. Please give our coalition partners your attention as we announce our intent to fight these bogus charges and hold ICE and this criminal administration full of hypocrites accountable. Whether you try to hide behind religion or authority, we see you and we will not stop until you face justice for the harm done to our people. I want to invite up first to speak from the Twin Cities Coalition for Justice, Angel.
Woo! Yeah! Woo! Hi, my name is Angel, that's spelled A-N-G-E-L. Last name is Smith, S-M-I-T-H-E-L. I just left the federal court building in St. Paul and was in the courtroom when they brought in Chantel and also Chantel Ellen and also Nekima Levy-Armstrong. It just amazes me that the same types of stuff that happens in the 50s and 60s is going on right now.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what Rosa sat so we could sit up in front, right? And now you're gonna tell me my sister who went to a church where a person is supposed to be preaching love, truth, and whatever else, but is turning around and sending our neighbors and locking them up oh my God, y'all, I'm sorry. I'm just really upset.
You got it.
Because I live in St. Paul, right? I live right in St. Paul, University and Dale Street, right there, and I see ICE agents clearly all day, every day, running my block. And it was the right of Nekima, Monique, and Chantel to go into that church for a pastor who is a head of ICE, who is supposed to be in my neighborhood, my hood. I'm a Rondo kid, and it is a diverse community, and you're going to put my friends in jail for some bull crap?
Shame.
Right now, they're trying to detain them, but the judge did ask for Nekima's release. Not only has Monique has also been released, but also Trahan Cruz has been arrested. That has not been public enough because we don't know where he's at. We're trying to find him. It was so intense in that room. I'm trying to tell you how intense it was. I was crying literally just because of anger and frustration. No person is illegal on stolen land.
That's
right.
That's right.
Not
Yeah.
one person. If this government continues to come over here and fight with Minnesota, we're gonna throw snowballs.
Yeah.
We're gonna throw ice back at ice.
Hell yeah.
And we'll get our ice melter to melt them down.
Hell yeah.
It is. They're coming from the east, the south, the west, the north, and we're not gonna lay down and stop fighting for our rights.
That's right.
That's right.
Nekima has a legitimate business in Uptown, and they're trying to use that against her.
Shame.
Shame.
Why? Because she's a black woman that wants to have cannabis illegal in her area, whatever, and we're gonna go after her for some bullshit like that. Excuse my language, but I swear for M&Ms, I will be out in the streets every day to fight for their release, and any other person that they steal off of these streets in Minneapolis, Brooklyn Park, St. Paul, East Side, West Side, North Side. And I'm not gonna stop fighting until every last person is free, and we say freedom all and get rid of ICE.
That's right.
Free them all.
Ice out of Minnesota.
Ice out.
Ice out of Minnesota.
Ice out of Minnesota.
Up next, we're going to have Alvin from the Minnesota Immigrant Rights Action Committee.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay. My name is Alvin Sheng, that's ALVIN-SHENG, and I'm a member of the Minnesota Immigrant Rights Action Committee, MIRAC. First, I want to share what many Christian communities of color are going through at this time. After Operation Metro Surge started, my church had to hire private security to protect our congregation from our own government.
Shame. Shame.
We've already seen a sharply decreased attendance as folks become too afraid to leave their homes to go to church. This story is all too familiar in many churches, mosques, and other houses of worship across the country ever since the Trump administration rescinded a Biden-era policy protecting schools, clinics, and houses of worship from immigration enforcement. ICE agents are the ones trampling on our right to religious freedom.
That's right.
And not the protesters calling a church to account for enabling the agents' abuse of our community.
That's right.
That's right.
Jesus Christ himself entered the temple to drive out money changers and sellers, saying to them, "My house will be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers." The only thing he'd say differently in the case of City's church is that it has become a den of kidnappers by allowing
right.
a leader of the St. Paul ICE field office, David Easterwood, to be a pastor there.
Boo.
Upholding religious freedom for ethno-nationalists only and not immigrants is absolutely a channel for fascism.
Yeah.
It grieves me to say this as a Christian, but Christianity in America is being co-opted as a tool of the far right.
Yeah.
As long as the religion enables the harming of the immigrant, the widow, and the orphan, the social groups appointed special care in the Christian faith, there is no longer anything sacred in this religious facade.
That's right.
It becomes nothing but a backdrop for a racist agenda.
That's right. That's right.
However, you all hardly need any more reminders that we are living in reactionary times. We must do everything in our power to help those facing the brunt of repression, such as the participants of the city's church protest, Nekima, Chantal, and Monique. The victims of political repression also include the legal observers and protesters against ICE.
That's right.
In fact, just yesterday, MIRAC received reports of ICE agents threatening to break the car windows and detain observers if they keep observing them.
Shame.
This is in violation of Friday's court order that ICE cannot detain or use force on non-violent observers. This court order has unfortunately been put on hold. I urge those that foresee themselves in such situations to write the number of the National Lawyers Guild on their arm make an emergency plan in case of detention, and remember not to sign or say anything.
Yeah.
Indeed, the stakes have never been higher, and so we need all hands on deck.
That's right.
What that looks like is different for each individual. For some, it might mean confronting the ICE agents trying to kidnap our neighbors.
Yeah.
For others, it might mean doing mutual aid behind the scenes.
Yeah.
However, at the very least, everyone should band together when those on the front lines are facing the kind of repression that our comrades, Nikema, Chantal, and Monique are going through.
That's right.
Drop all charges against Nikema, Chantal, and Monique.
Yes.
Drop all charges against all protesters.
That's right.
We will say it every time. Protesting is not a crime.
That's right.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We will say it every time.
Protesting is not a crime.
We will say it every time.
Protesting is not a crime.
All right, up next, we are going to have Olivia from the Minnesota Abortion Action Committee.
Yeah.
My name is Olivia Kroll, that's spelled Olivia-Crull. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm with the Minnesota Abortion Action Committee. The Minnesota Abortion Action Committee unequivocally denounces the arrests of our local movement leaders, Nikema Levy Armstrong, Monique Kohler-Stody, and Chantal Allen. These three women should be commended for their bravery and commitment to justice,
That's right.
not threatened with criminal prosecution.
Okay.
They were exercising their fundamental right to protest by standing up to say that ICE agents and collaborators do not belong in a place of worship.
That's right.
That's right.
Matter of fact, they do not belong in our cities at all. And
That's right.
we see these very same agents violating our civil rights every single day in the streets of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and beyond.
Yeah.
We know that all three women have been threatened with prosecution under the FACE Act, or the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act. As an organization fighting to protect reproductive rights, we are outraged that the FACE Act would be weaponized in this way.
Okay.
That's right.
FACE was intended to protect providers and patients from the very real threat of anti-abortion violence. We live in a country where abortion clinics have been bombed, where providers have been assassinated, and where people seeking reproductive health care are routinely harassed, intimidated, and attacked by so-called pro-life forces.
Shame.
So to see one of the few laws that we actually have to protect ourselves from right-wing violence used in this way, twisted and manipulated to attack nonviolent protesters demanding justice in the face of ICE occupation, it is beyond shameful. And our movement will not stand for it.
That's right.
The Trump administration has made it clear that they will bend and break the law to serve their racist and reactionary agenda. Just this last year, Trump's Justice Department announced that they would be limiting the enforcement of FACE for attacks on abortion clinics specifically.
Shame. Shame.
That they would only enforce the law in cases of, quote, extraordinary circumstances. Trump has pardoned numerous defendants charged under FACE who blocked clinic doors and prevented people from receiving essential and time-sensitive health care.
Shame.
This administration is declaring open season on our providers, patients, and clinics only to turn around and arrest three women, and it sounds like others, who harmed no one.
That's right.
And who simply dared to stand up and use their voices to say what so many of us have been saying for weeks now. ICE is terrorizing our communities and they need to leave.
Yeah.
As leaders in the movement for Black Lives, Nikema Levy Armstrong, Monique Kohler-Stody, and Chantal Allen have steered our communities through so much hardship and have always stood on the side of justice.
That's right.
They are being targeted because this administration knows that they are powerful and they will not back down.
That's
Yeah.
right.
We join in the call for their immediate release, for any investigation or potential charges to be dropped.
Yes.
No justice, no peace. ICE off our streets. No justice, no peace.
ICE off our streets.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, up next, we are going to have Andrew from the Anti-War Committee.
Woo. Yeah.
My name is Andrew, Andrew, Joseph Chek, Josefchak. I'm a member of the Minnesota Anti-War Committee. I want to start by completely uniting with everything that Olivia just said. The use of the FACE Act to target these three activists is absolutely shameful. There's simply not another word for it. An act that was intended to protect people being used to demonize three leaders in the black community who have stood up consistently for justice for years and years. It's reprehensible. And I want to say I've known all three for many years. I met them through my work in the Anti-War Committee because they have always invited us out to protest. They've always stood with other movements. They have said, we want people at our events for Black Liberation talking about police militarization, talking about the way that U.S. wars feed back into our communities here, about the way that the Israeli apartheid in Palestine affects black communities here. That is how I got to know them, is because they stood up with our movement, and they've stood with every progressive movement in this city. And we are ready to stand up for them in a major way.
Hell yeah.
In 2010, the Anti-War Committee was targeted by the FBI on trumped up, in fact, completely false charges that we were supporting terrorism. And we beat those charges. Our offices were raided. A number of our members' homes were raided. A friend of mine right over here is standing here free today because when called to a grand jury, we said, no, we're not going to cooperate with this. We're going to stand up for ourselves. We're going to fight back loudly.
That's right.
And you know what? The reason we won is because the people stood with us.
Yeah.
People like Chantel and Monique and Nikema stood with us.
Yeah.
And it's time for us to pay that forward, to stand up for them, to stand with them. The Anti-War Committee is here to support them in every way we can, whether that's publicizing their case as much as we can, whether that's hitting the streets with them, anything they ask of us, we're here for them, because FBI terror against any of our movements is a threat to all of us, whether that's people,
That's right.
whether that's people in organizations, people who consider themselves activists, or just people, day-to-day normal folks who probably haven't been involved in politics before, who are out on the streets keeping watch for ICE, trying to keep their community safe. All of us are endangered by this.
That's right.
And that is why we stand in solidarity. We've got your back. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to hear from the People's Action Coalition Against Trump, represented by Tracy.
Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Tracy Molm, spelled TracyMolm, and I am here representing the People's Action Coalition Against Trump. We formed as a way to stand up to Trump's attacks, to unite the anti-war issues with reproductive rights issues, to unite climate justice issues with attacks on Black and brown people and immigrants in the Twin Cities. Little did we know that we would become the center of the struggle. Today we are here to stand with the heroes, Monique Cullors Doty,
Yes.
Nikema Levy-Pound,
Yes.
and Chantel Allen.
Yes.
They used their voices to stand strong and to say that ICE needs to leave the Twin Cities.
That's right.
We know that consistently ICE is lying. When Bovino says that they are arresting criminals, that is a lie. They are arresting our neighbors,
right.
friends, and family.
That's
And
right.
so today we stand united together to say that we will not allow these charges to move forward.
Yes.
That we will stand up, that we will take the streets, we will join with the actions happening tomorrow and continue to have actions in the streets and in each and one of our neighborhoods.
That's right.
And so we challenge the people of the Twin Cities to continue to stand up. If you have not stood up, now is the time.
Yes.
Tomorrow is the day at 2 p.m. We will join the people of Minnesota in the streets to say that ICE needs to get out.
Yes. Yes.
All of the pearl clutching over whether or not it was right to go into a church can end. ICE needs to leave the Twin Cities now.
That's right.
And so we call on everyone to join us in the streets tomorrow and after that.
That's right. Yeah.
We will now open it up for questions.
What do we know about Trey Hearn? We
Um,
don't.
yeah.
Nothing. We don't know where he's at right now. We know he's been detained.
Okay.
We're trying to find out. Jordan Kushner is working on that. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm just an activist. I just talk anywhere. But anyways, Jordan Kushner, who's representing Nekima, and so they're trying to find out where he's at.
Can you say a bit more who Trey Hearn is?
Trey Hearn Cruz is a BLM activist, a Black Lives Matter activist, also a man who's been out trying to fight for reparations for Black folks, constantly in the streets, doing things that all activists are trying to do, make lives better for the people in Minnesota and Black people in general.
That's right.
You say again you were in the courtroom.
Yeah.
What did you hear the judge order today?
So I didn't get to actually, their proceedings went on a recess because the opposition didn't have a what you call it? What are those things?
A warrant?
A warrant. Thank you. They didn't have a warrant present when they took them. And so now they're trying to gather up a warrant real fast so that they can actually now go ahead and do the thing that they were going to do. Doesn't that sound half-ass backwards? I'm just saying.
Shame.
And also they were being very repressive to the people that came to support Chantel and Nekima, because they wouldn't let anybody in with phones. They made us put it in a bag, locked up tight. I couldn't communicate with people to let them know what was happening and stuff like that. They also when Nekima came in and stuff, I gave her and they tried to throw me out. Told me I couldn't do that. Told me I couldn't represent CPAC, which is what we need, because CPAC is the only real accountability. Because what's Mayor Fry doing besides going on social media and saying fuck ICE but not doing nothing?
That's right.
We don't even want him to do nothing because he ain't gonna do shit anyway.
That's right.
People are gonna make the change. I mean,
right.
You got more questions? I'm sorry, I can be out here all day.
Just for clarity, you said a recess. Is that a recess as in they were out of court temporarily, they're going back in today, or a continuation?
They're finna go back in today. The judge did say, as I was leaving out, that he did want to release Nekima. I don't know if that's happening, but they are trying to do a detention hearing. We also witnessed 2 detention hearings for a Somali man and a Latino man, and so that they delayed their court for those 2 to come forward first, and I think they did that strategically to see what we would do. But we got information about them too to try and get them free.
And it sounds like we just got word that they are being released as we speak.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 of them are being released. Do you know which 2?
I believe that Chantel and Nekima are being released.
Okay. It sounds like Chantal and Nekima are being released right now.
Yeah.
So was Monique Colors-Doty also in court today?
She was let go. She wasn't at court. She was in Minneapolis.
Okay, so she was already previously released.
Yeah.
So the only one that we suspect is still detained is Trey Hearn.
Yeah.
Right. Black man.
Isn't William Kelly, the activist that was also inside the church, was he also detained? And were any of them taken to the Whipple Federal Building where high school through the detainees?
As far as we know, he wasn't detained. I saw him make a social media post this morning about the other detentions. I don't think he himself was ever taken to Whipple, but we don't know if the other activists were taken there because we haven't been able to communicate with them.
Right.
It looks like actually Attorney General Bondi updated that William Kelly is now in custody.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he has now been arrested.
I was just gonna
Shame.
Yeah.
Sorry for asking too many questions here. So you mentioned there was a third, well, 3 out of 4 now, protester who's detained. You weren't currently aware where he's being housed, exactly what his legal situation is. Do you have any theories or any insight into why that would be?
No, and I don't really care to theorize about that. The fact is is that people are being targeted because they are willing to stand up for what's right.
Say that.
That's
At
right.
the end of the day, the only reason that these charges are being levied against these activists is because they are doing what our federal government does not want the rest of us to be doing, which is saying that this is wrong, and that detaining our neighbors and racially profiling them and picking up 5-year-old kids off of the street and then using them to pick up their parents is evil and wrong. We don't need a religion to tell us that this is wrong. And anybody who's hiding behind a church to make justifications for this is also wrong and deserves to be called out no matter where they're at.
And a person in a church in a predominantly black neighborhood.
Any other questions?
Can someone just say an updated statement in response to the people being released today?
It sounds like
Repeat the question?
Oh, I just wanted an updated response from anyone here about them being released. Since this whole time we've been talking about them, the request.
Yeah, it sounds like Nikema Levy Armstrong and Monique Colors Doty, as well as Chantal Allen, have all been released. We don't know where Traherne Cruz is, and it sounds like William, I don't know his last name, Callie, was also recently detained. So that's what we know at this time. And also, the charges have not been dropped. So even though they've been released, there is still, we still have to fight back against the charges themselves.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Maybe you said before, do we know what body of agents performed the arrest?
No, I don't know. Any other questions?
Is Keith Ellison on it?
Probably not. Yeah. He hasn't reached out to. I mean, Monique is a member. Monique is a member of the Twin Cities Coalition for Justice. Nobody has reached out to us. Nobody, as far as we know, has reached out to BLM Twin Cities either. So I doubt it.
So,
And Keith
that was
knows
my
us.
specific question, is if there's been any cooperation or communication from our
elected officials? Absolutely not.
Give a shit about
Absolutely not. There's been no communication from them.
Shame!
All right.
They're worthless.
Except for one. Yes. But our city. If there are no other questions, we're gonna go ahead and end our press conference.
Are we gonna be protesting somewhere today?
It sounds like some people are planning a protest at the Wilbur Building. Twin Cities Coalition for Justice is in talks about an action, but because we had to respond to this on short notice, we haven't had time to plan anything. But please follow our socials for more information and updates. All right, thank you.